Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make hot and sour soup. It's one of the easiest Chinese American takeout recipes ever. It looks difficult at first to make because there's just so much going on, but it's super easy to make and I'm going to show you how to do it right now. Okay, so hot and sour soup. Here are all the ingredients. For the sour, I have half a cup of black vinegar. You can also use white vinegar if you want, but black vinegar has a very distinct vinegary taste, so I recommend using black vinegar instead. And then for the hot, I have, of course, white pepper. I'm gonna use 3 teaspoons of white pepper, half a teaspoon of chili powder. And then here I have 6 dried red chilies, which I'm going to take up the stems and cut these in half. I'm gonna keep the seeds. I also have 150 grams of pork here. You can use chicken if you want. So for the pork, I cut into little thin strips and I added 1 tablespoon of water, a pinch of salt, 2 teaspoons of oil, and 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, plus half a teaspoon of Mr. Shaoxing wine. Just massage the seasoning into the pork until it's not wet anymore. And then refrigerate for at least 10 to 15 minutes. And right here I have tofu. I'm gonna use 150 grams. This is firm tofu. I bought this from my local fresh market. Check it out, pretty cool, huh? So all I need is 150 grams of firm tofu. Right here I have 130 grams of bamboo. I bought these pre-shredded already. You can also use canned ones if you wish, just cut into strip. But I boiled my bamboo because bamboo has a really funky raw smell to it. So you just want to boil it in hot water for about a minute or so to take out some of the funkiness. Right here I have 8 grams of wood-eared mushroom or fungus mushrooms. So this is 8 grams. I'm going to chop these up later into thin strips too. Plus I have 20 grams of shiitake mushroom. So the wood-eared mushrooms and the shiitake mushrooms come dried and you have to put them into hot water to rehydrate them, which takes about 1 hour. And I'll thinly slice up the mushrooms too. And right here I have 1 large egg, which I'm gonna beat right now. This goes in at the final phase of cooking. I'm gonna drizzle it in and it will have a really nice ribbon of egg inside the hot and sour soup. And right over there is 8 cups of chicken stock. Trust me, it's in there. And right here I have 2 spring onions, chopped. Only use the greens, okay? This just goes into the hot and sour soup at the end. And right here is 40 grams of corn flour, or for the folks in the USA, it's cornstarch. To this, I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of water, but I'm gonna do it later. This will become what is called a slurry, and it's going to thicken up the hot and sour soup. So there are a few other seasonings that go into this hot and sour soup, but I'll get into it along the way later on. But for now, I'm gonna show you how to prep the ingredients. So let's start off with the seasoning for the hot and sour soup, all right? So I need half a teaspoon of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 3 teaspoons of ground white pepper. That's 1, 2, and 3. And I need half a teaspoon of chili powder. All right, so that's one of the hazards of making cooking videos. All right, so that's 2 teaspoons of dark soy sauce. And here's 1 tablespoon light soy sauce. And finally, 1 teaspoon of pure sesame oil. Just mix it up and set it aside. So this is gonna be 1 spicy hot and sour soup. So if you're afraid of the heat, just add a little bit less ground white pepper, add a little bit less chili powder, and add a little bit less of the red dry chilies. If you want to make this dish all vegetarian, add more tofu and add more mushrooms. And then we're gonna thinly chop up the mushrooms. I'm gonna discard the stems, so just thinly slice the mushrooms. For the wood-eared mushrooms, just give these guys a rough chop. And that's it, see? It wasn't that bad, right? Okay, so we finished prepping all of our ingredients. So now it's time to start cooking. Okay, so my pot of chicken stock is boiling. I'm going to add in my pork. And I'm just gonna stir it up to make sure that it doesn't stick to each other. And eventually some proteins is just gonna float up. I'm gonna use a strainer and just pick it out. This way my soup is clean. And then I'm gonna throw in my red dried chilies as well as my seasoning base. there's bound to be like some seasoning stuck on the bottom of the mixing bowl. So just get some hot soup and pour it into your mixing bowl. This way you make sure that you have the correct amount of seasoning inside your soup. Okay, so now I toss in the bamboo shoots and then I just give it a mix. Just wait till the soup simmers up a little bit before I add in both of my mushrooms. And now I'm just gonna let it all cook for a minute before I put in my tofu. And just give it 30 seconds to cook up before I throw in my black vinegar. Okay, so here comes the fun part. We're gonna thicken up our hot and sour soup by combining the corn flour with the water. So we're making a slurry that will thicken up our hot and sour soup. It's very important that your soup is boiling, and as you drizzle in your corn flour and water mixture, that you're stirring the pot at the same time. This way the mixture will not clump up and disperse inside your soup properly and thickening it up. Okay, so now that my hot and sour soup is properly thickened, I'm gonna add my 1 large beaten egg. Again, I'm gonna stir my pot while adding in my egg. I like to add my egg with my bowl a little bit up high. This way, little thin stream of eggs will stream down into the hot pot of soup. This way you have nice little ribbons of egg throughout your hot and sour soup. Okay, so now comes the important part. It is time to taste your soup. With ingredients like mushrooms and tofu, it can throw off your recipe because rehydrated mushrooms and tofu contain a lot of moisture. That's why it is very important to taste at this point. I noticed that my soup needs a little bit more salt, and after tasting it, I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of salt. It is definitely spicy enough, so I don't need to add any more white pepper, and it's definitely sour enough, so I don't need to add any vinegar at all. However, I noticed that my soup could do with a little bit more thickening, so I waited for my soup to boil, and then I mixed a tablespoon of corn flour with 1 tablespoon of water, and then adding it into my soup for extra thickening. And now that my hot and sour soup tastes excellent, I'm going to switch off the heat and add my spring onions. Okay everyone, as you can see, it is so easy to make hot and sour soup that it is difficult to screw it up, because there are so many chances for you to taste your soup and make sure that it is spicy enough or if it's sour enough. So you can always go back and add in the seasonings so that it is perfect for your taste. So go ahead and try this recipe. I know you'll love it, and you might not even order from a restaurant anymore. So if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you're watching me for the very first time, please subscribe and hit the bell notification button for new videos. I try and make a new cooking video once every week, so I hope to see you all again next time. Take care. Goodbye.